What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about Another Century's Episode R. Now, this is essentially your biggest, ultimate, clusterfuck of everything mech that you can imagine in Japan. Anything from, imagine all the Gundam series, all the Macross series, and everything else you can think that involves mechs combined into one. So we're basically going to be discussing the game today. We're going to be talking about certain story elements of the game, which is kind of, it's mixed up. It's like putting Ninja Turtles with X-Men. We're going to be talking about the gameplay mechanics, and a bit about graphics, and then later on I'm going to recommend whether or not you should import it, which, by this review, I think that'd be obvious, so if you're a fan of the game. Anyway, enjoy, and let me know what you guys think of this review after it's done. Thank you. Bye. What's up, guys? This part of the review is going to be the story section. Now, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Last time I watched anything Macross or Gundam related was back in the Macross Plus in 0083 days, so I've been out of the loophole for a while. But what I'm going to give you is basically the gist of the game. Basically, it takes from every single Macross genre, back from 00 all the way until today. I think it's now Gundam Z or Gundam Seed. And, back in the Macross, the original Macross, until today, which is Macross Frontier and Macross Zero. Now, I've seen a few episodes of Macross Zero, so I do quite like it. I do own the movie for Macross Frontier, which I haven't actually gotten into the series yet, but I plan to. Basically, from what I get of the story so far, it's just this alien or this life form is taking all the different mechs from all the different universes or all the different episodes and bringing them into one, kind of like a battle royale. It's an interesting story. I mean, my previous video kind of made fun of it. But at the moment I'm playing through Gundam Zero, and I'm actually enjoying it quite a bit. I'm promising myself as soon as I'm done with the game, I'm going to sit down and watch the anime all the way through, at least Gundam Zero and probably Gundam Frontier as well. I've already seen the movie for Gundam Frontier, and I actually really enjoyed it. Story-wise, there's a lot of things I didn't get, not because of the Japanese, but simply because I haven't seen the previous ones. Also, one thing I will mention is because this is a Japanese-only game, I mean, many of you out there aren't going to get the story. For me, it kind of took me a while to figure some things out. My Japanese isn't perfect, but I can navigate my way through things by reading, understanding keywords, stuff like that, so I get the gist of what's going on. But one thing I will say, like I said before, it's like taking Batman, Spider-Man, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Powerpuff Girls, and mixing them all into one big battle royale. And your story is just there for the sake of having a story. It's not really, meant to be a story-rich game. It's meant to, so you can use all these different characters in one game. And I'll say that from what I've played of it so far, I'm quite enjoying it. Now again, I'm playing through Gundam Zero section, so I'm sure once I finish Gundam Zero, there's tons more gameplay to play. So this is one of those games that will literally last you a long time. You won't be finished with it for a while. I mean, if you're like me, I don't get a chance to play games, so I play them like maybe once a day for roughly 2 or 3 hours. And currently, I'm working on 2 games at the moment. This one, not Gundam, but Another Century's Episode R, and Assassin's Creed. So I mean, I give roughly an hour or 2 to the game each day if I have the time. But having said that much about the story, one thing I will mention is if you are familiar with the with all of these different series, munched into this particular game, you will love it. I mean, it's like a Gundam fan and Macross's fan wet dream. Now, the reason I bought the game initially was because I was a huge Macross Plus fan, and again, I've never seen Macross Frontier or Zero before I played this game. And when I got the game, I was like surprised at all the different episodes mixed together. Because I originally thought it was just a Macross game, and now I just bought it. I'm like, whoa, holy shit! You have Gundam, you have Macross, but you even have there's a few other episodes in there whose names I can't remember at the top of my head, but basically it's not just Gundam or Macross, there's a bunch of other stuff as well. But basically, it's one of these games where you will literally have fun with it. You can't roll through this game in a day or two, or even a month for that matter. It'll probably take you half a year with all the content available. And even if you go to the Japanese PSN account, there's a lot of stuff you can download for the game to add on to it. So I mean, it's one of those games that will last a very long time. Now, the only thing I'm not sure about the game is if it has an online component or not, but that's something I will look into after I finish playing the Zero section. Anyway, that's it for the story, and I'll see you guys again for the graphics. Hey everybody, I'm back for the graphics and gameplay section of this review. The first thing we'll be talking about is the controls. Now, the controls in this game are a bit odd, and they do take a bit of time to get used to, so you're going to have to go through, I guess, what I would call a trial and error session. Even if you do understand how to read the Japanese, I guarantee you'll still be confused by them. Now, I haven't played previous Gundam Century games, Another Century games, but from what I've heard is that the controls are slightly different from the previous entries from the PlayStation 2. But I can say this much: once you do get used to the controls, it's actually quite simple. It's not that difficult of a game. The airplane models, the mech models, the Gundam models, the Macross models, they're all very beautiful. Now, I own a couple models myself, and I did a comparison between what I saw on the screen and what I can hold in my hand, and I can tell you these models are perfect. So I mean, you're not going to have any issues with the overall visuals. Now, aside from the plane, the terrain, can be a bit bland at times, but there's so much going on in the game, you're really not going to pay attention to that. The gameplay itself, outside the realm of controls and the overall, I guess, models of the airplane, the gameplay is pretty good. It's your basic flight / mech and shoot 'em up, everything around you type game, and you can lock on your enemies. You can fire missiles. You can shoot the gun, the machine guns. You can have your allies team up for special attacks, or you yourself can do certain types of special attacks. Graphics on the PlayStation 3 run at around 720p. So I mean, if you have a high definition TV set, it looks beautiful at high def. One of the things I really do love about this game is you have the option to put your own music in every part of the game. That includes the intros as well. So I mean, I stuck Lost Odyssey music into this game, which I thought was kind of funny, but it went pretty well at the stage, which you can see while I'm talking about this right now, which you can hear while I'm telling you this. And I think that's an excellent feature in the game. So basically, you can customize the whole soundtrack for each level, and that doesn't just include the action portion of the level, that also includes the cinematic portion of the level. Another great thing about this game is you can use mechs from any of the different genres in the story mode. So let's say, for example, I'm going through Macross Zero right now. Oh, I want to apologize for the previous video. I kept saying Gundam Zero, Gundam Frontier. I meant Macross Zero, Macross Frontier. Anyway, the thing is, in this episode I'm playing, I can use any mech from any genre for this particular episode, which I think is pretty cool. And I can also team up with other mechs from other genres for this particular, episode I'm playing, which is Macross Zero. Other than that, there's not really much else to tell about the game other than it's an excellent game. Hey guys, this is the portion where I tell you whether or not to import it or to leave it alone. And I'm going to say it just like this. If you are a mech fan, a Gundam fan, a Macross fan, or a fan that has anything to do with that particular genre, and you need to import this game. You will be in heaven. Now, if you're not into that, is it still worth importing? My answer is definitely yes. But if you do not like robot games, or you're not a big fan of airplane games such as Ace Combat, then I guess you wouldn't enjoy this. But if you are into that stuff, and you've never experienced Gundam or Macross, it's still well worth the investment. In terms of the language barrier, there is a language barrier that you have to get past, and it does take some time. For me, it wasn't so difficult, but I have a friend of mine who's playing the game now, and he's having a hard time. So I will say that there are plenty of strategy guides online. If you go to GameFAQs.com, I don't remember the guy's name, but he's made a strategy guide, about the boss fights and how to get through the stages, and also about the controls. It's quite useful. I've gone through it myself. But let's say your Japanese is okay, or you're fluent, then you won't have any language barrier. But if your Japanese isn't okay, or you're not fluent, or you're 50-50 kind of like me, then yeah, you can have a bit of a struggle getting used to it. But once you do get used to it, it's no problem. So again, if you're into the mechs, if you're into the whole Gundam or Macross scene, if you love animation that has to do with this type of thing, import it. You won't waste your money. You'll be very happy with your investment. The game will last you a very long time. If you're not into that, then yes, avoid it like the plague. And if you guys can give me as much feedback as possible, and I can tell you right now, my next review is going to be gotoku kenzen, which is a translation to Yakuza Kenzen. It's an older game, but it's one of those games that I personally want to do a review on. So as soon as I have some chance next month, I'll put